Welcome to the Rural Revival Podcast. I'm your host, Dana Larson. This week we're with Darren and Meagan Orsag of Leeco Honey in Lexington, Texas. What started out as a hobby has grown into a beekeeping and honey business and continues to grow. Darren and Meagan are sharing about teamwork, the importance of knowing your beekeeper, and their annual honey harvest and adopt-a-hive program. So here we go with Darren and Meagan. All right, well, we're here with Darren and Meagan Orsag of Leeco Honey in Lexington, Texas. Guys, thanks for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Well, tell us a little bit about you guys. Are you both born and raised in Texas?
We are, yeah. I was born in Brenham and lived in Giddings for most of my life and college in Texas. And now we're not too far from where I grew up in Lexington, small town to small town.
He's a Lee County boy, and he remains a Lee County boy. So I'm from outside of the county. I'm from Victoria, Texas, and I moved here, 2016, right before we got married. So.
Okay. Well, I want you guys, before we get into the business side of things, to talk a little bit about your journeys and how you met and how you got here.
Sure. Okay. So I feel like we could spend a whole podcast just on this, but I was a single mom. I was divorced and finally feeling like okay with how, where God brought me and, where I was in my life. And I had little Nola, and then just something spoke to me. I know it was the Holy Spirit. It's like, I think it's time. So I met Darren, and we just hit it off. I don't know. So Darren, you tell your side of the story. I don't want to talk.
Yeah. So there's many more details we could go into on that, but I was part of a single dad, 2 girls, and I was a product of a loss. My wife died of cancer, and we were on our own for a while. We had a lot of support from family and friends, and we're thankful for that. That got us by. And I was really looking for someone that could be a partner in life, and someone that would share in faith and common goals to work towards. And I reached out to Meagan and said, "Hey," and that was all it took. Hey.
Yeah, we actually met online. So I joked that his first comment to me was, "Hey," and that was it. So how many people did you send that to? But I took the bait, and here we are. So, but yeah, we got married in 2017. So Darren had Natalie and Neely, and I had Nola, and then little Nashers came into the mix. Surprised us all, but the best surprise ever. And so now we're a family of 6 living out in Lee County on our little honey farm.
And you actually are on Darren's family land, right?
Yes. Yeah. So again, I think Darren can speak to this one. I'm the talker. You go, babe.
Yeah. So this land was from my grandma's side of the family, Dre's, and it dates back to the original purchase was in 1880. So in May of 1880. So I guess we just passed the anniversary of that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so it's been in the family for a long time, multiple generations. And my aunt inherited a portion, and she was going to be selling it. So we, thankfully, she was kind to us and came to us first, and we were able to buy a portion of the land. And I worked here growing up on the farm and building fence and working on tractors, and still don't really know how to do all that well. But my grandpa tried to teach me, and I've always dreamt of living out here, and it just happened to work out really well for us.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Well, both of your families have been in the honey business for a while, for generations, actually. Is it something that you always both knew you wanted to do, or is it something you just kind of decided, let's go for it?
I remember my grandpa, we would play with all his bee equipment, and I remember watching him go out there with nothing on to go check his bees, and hearing stories of my dad say how he used to drive around in his truck with the beehive riding shotgun and claiming that no one would steal his truck since he had the beehive in there. And then in college, I took a honeybee biology class, not ever thinking I would use it. So it was just weird how organically it all came together. And it wasn't until I met Darren and learned his story to when we were like, okay, let's make this happen. And so you took your side. It's way better.
It's not way better. My side is very similar. I grew up around seeing the equipment. I never really worked bees with my grandpa before he passed away, and that is a regret of mine. But I remember being around it in his woodworking shop. I still remember the smell of the wax foundations that he would put on. And so when we had when we kind of knew each other's history on that, we started looking around thinking we would get into it as a hobby. And we found a couple of hives, and she encouraged me to try it. And we went from 2 to 25 now. So we grew pretty quickly. It became a bit of an obsession, but we enjoy it. We really do. And we really like the aspect of knowing that there's family history tied to it. And looking back, we had a lot of fond memories of it. And we hope that our girls will, and perhaps we can promote this in the future for others, because it does seem to be a bit of a dying kind of thing to do, especially from a standpoint of young kids being involved with it. So,
once you made the decision to start beekeeping, where did you go from there?
Oh my goodness. I think we both didn't really recognize what we were fully getting into until we were like in it. But and it's so interesting because we come at it in such different ways. I love looking at the research. I love trainings. I like conferences and meeting other beekeepers and learning from them. And Darren is very much he loves like the tradition. He loves learning what his grandfathers did. He's very much like, I'm going to get out there and get in the hive and learn from the hive and let the hive kind of teach him versus letting like others kind of join in. So it's been really interesting and I think fruitful with the different ways that we like to learn about beekeeping and where we took off from there. But
yeah, I would add to that I think we both enjoy learning about it, again, in different ways, in our own unique ways. But in addition to that, we kind of have different roles that we just jumped into and kind of took up on our own accord without really thinking about it. And me being more geared towards the caring for the bees and the hives and the splitting and gaining more and doing removals, and then her side more of the marketing and the bottles and the social media. So it's really worked out really well. It's just the combination of the two kind of ideas on what needs to be done. And honestly, I'm lagging well behind her marketing because we always run out and I never have enough honey. I blame the bees, not me necessarily.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Not user error.
Talk to us about your logo and the story behind that.
Yes. So we did a lot of grappling with that. We really struggled because we recognize the importance of a name and what that stands for and what that means. It's so important. So the Leeco is for Lee County, which is where we live and which is where our bees live. And something that's really important to us is being very transparent from hive to your table. So we want anyone who buys our honey to understand where their honey comes from and how it got there. And also about the family behind it. So that was really important for us. And that's where the hexagon comes into play. So there's 6 of us in the family and there's 6 sides to a hexagon. And the hexagon is one of the strongest shapes in nature. And so we felt like it really represented us and how we all came together and just became this really solid, strong family, especially when we were in our times of just single parenting, we maybe didn't really necessarily feel like that. So to be able to come together in this way and have that solid foundation. So that's why we chose Leeco honey and then with the 6 sides for the hexagon. So that's where that came in.
I love it. And your honey bottles are even in a hexagon shape.
Yeah.
So cool.
Thank you. We love them. I like very unique, simple things. And so when I found the bottle, I was like, this is it. Like, this is us. So it was great.
So you raise raw natural honey, and like you said, straight from your farm to our table. What does the term raw natural honey mean for those of us who aren't up on all things honey?
Yeah, so the raw just means, and natural honey just means that it's not, it doesn't have any sugar water, it doesn't have any additives. It also is not heated when we process it. So a lot of production facilities will heat the honey because it's easier to bottle. Mm-hmm. And when they do that, they destroy some of the local pollens that are in the honey. Also, we've learned a lot since we've been working with bees locally that many of the companies that you're familiar with that you may purchase from, H-E-B or Walmart or wherever the grocery store chains are in your area, that they're blended. A lot of them are blended. And there's some programs about that we watched. We are part of the Real Texas Honey Association. But a lot of the honeys that you purchase may have corn syrup or rice syrup in it as fillers because they're cheap and they're easy to add to honey to kind of stretch it out and make it go further. We don't do that. We won't do that. And also, we want to make sure that people know that if you're buying this honey, that it's coming from this area, and that we don't have bees outside of our local community here, outside of Lee County. We're not going and chasing the bloom across the state or across the country to make sure we get honey production. So raw natural honey just means that we're not adding anything to it, and we're not subtracting any of the pollen from it by heating it. So it's pretty important when you're looking for a good honey, a local honey. You find that's a lot at farmers markets and stuff like that, but you just have to be real cautious about when you're buying it, knowing the beekeeper. I think that's the biggest thing. We ask questions when you go and get your honey. How many hives do you have? Where are they located? How much production do you make? And, because a lot of the people that we see selling honey, they may not even be beekeepers, but they're buying honey from someone and they're labeling it as their farm and selling it. So just be cautious on it. If you're going to pay money for it and you want it to be local honey for allergies or whatever the case may be, if you're trying to support someone locally, just ask questions and be sure you're educated on that.
That's so good to know. And there are health benefits, right, to buying local honey?
Yes, we've had several people, we have one gentleman in our county who brings the exact jars that he wants. He wants them in his own jars because he's calculated, the amount of honey he needs to have a tablespoon a day to help with his allergies. It's got anti-inflammatory benefits and there's antioxidants. So it's really interesting. And the more we've learned about honey and raw natural honey, of how important that is, especially if you're buying for more medicinal purposes. If you're just buying for sugar or sweetness or something like that, that's one thing. But if you're really looking at it for the health, then that's what Darren said, certainly, go talk to your local beekeeper. We highly recommend that if you're in Washington and you are buying for medicinal purposes for allergies, find your beekeepers in where your county that you live in. So we are more than happy to point people other places if they're buying specifically for allergies, because we want them to, receive the same benefits that they would, especially for the people that are here too. But yeah, it's really interesting. I love learning about the medicinal purposes, and I have my grapefruit honey tea every night. That's my thing. So.
Sounds so good. So people can come visit your farm and see how the honey is made. Do you have a shop where people can buy your products, or how do you get that out to the world?
That is on our dream list. We have a dream. There's an old homestead on the property, and it's just beautiful. We've seen old pictures of it as well. And so our dream is to turn that into a honey house where we would do all of the processing, invite people in for classes to learn about beekeeping, and then have a shop there, as well as honey tasting. So we've got big dreams. But for now, we invite people into our home, and we're virtual right now, so you can kind of see our place here. But we invite our local bakery who comes in and provides the meals with our honey in it. And then Sam, the local coffee guy, comes with his local coffee for people to try. And then Angela and Rodney with 6G Flower Farm, our local flower farmers, come and talk about how you care for your pollinators. So we try to bring everybody into our home and just introduce them into Lee County and some of the great things and people that are here. And so it's a really fun event. We had our first one last July, and it was really fun. We're excited to do another one.
Yeah, our goal is eventually to get to the point where we can do beginner beekeeping classes, or we can put on demonstrations of how to harvest using different methods, or have a retail facility. But as of right now, because we both work full time and we're managing this as well, it's and 4 kiddos running around, we're working towards that. That is definitely a dream of ours and kind of something that we want to do, and we're working towards in the future. We're building our number of hives to help sustain that as well. So we have goals. So if any of you are listening and you're really good at fixing old houses that are falling apart, you let me know.
With our honey house, yeah.
So do you hit up local farmers markets, that kind of stuff?
Yes, we do. We will. We have a local farmers market here, and then we also work with the local bakery, 4th Street Bakery, and she has our honey, and she actually uses our honey in several of our baked goods, like the honey buns that she makes are pretty famous here. And then also in the town over, there is a Gourmet Divas, and it's super fun, and they host tasting events, and they host different chefs from around the area that come in and do training. So they help us get our honey out too. And also like pop-up shops. And the really fun thing is people will just message us and ask us if they can swing on by and pick up honey. And so we do a lot of like door to door, kind of visit the farm, buy your honey while you're here. We've driven out people to look at the hives, and so they can see where their honey comes from. And the local schools, they've painted some of our hives, and so it's really fun for them to be able to see, okay, where's my box at and which hive is it on? And so we've really tried to like invite community in to our farm, so they can, again, that transparency piece is so important to us. So I think most of our sales are person to person.
That's great. And you have this cool thing where people can adopt a hive.
Yes. So that is new this year. And, there's several beekeeping groups that have done something similar, and it's so cool, where you can adopt a hive and you'll get, either a t-shirt, or one group does a coloring book, or they can come out and visit their hive. And so I'm wearing, I know y'all can't see it right now, but I'm wearing one of our t-shirts that says support your local beekeepers. And so we're always thinking of ways where they can either purchase a t-shirt or they can adopt a hive. And that is just another way that we're bringing bees into our county. And I wish I could show you our fields right now. They are covered in wildflowers. And that's just the past 3 years that they've grown so much, just having the bees here. So it's been really exciting to have the community rally behind us. And we see people wearing the t-shirts out everywhere. And that just represents them bringing bees into Lee County. So adopt-a-hive is just another way to do that.
I love that. So yeah, tell us about the community and how they have been supportive.
Oh my goodness. So, you move into a small town, and Darren is from Lee County. So he's kind of like, and this is the land that's been here since, the 1800s, or his family. And so, as a mom moving in who doesn't have a lot of, solid roots grounded, I was a little nervous about how we would be accepted, but they've just welcomed us with open arms. And the local businesses, we've started a group up where we meet and we talk about how can we best support each other. We do our best to cross promote, even on social media or events that we want to host together. And just the women in this community have just been incredible and so supportive. And they're the ones that you'll typically see wearing the Support Your Local Beekeeper t-shirt. The community has embraced us with the farmers market, so they'll come visit us. And I wish I can't even describe in words like how blessed we feel by our community. I mean, when you talk about small town hospitality, open arms, open doors, this is exactly, Lee County, Lexington should be right next to that in the dictionary because it's so amazing.
Yeah, I guess I would also say, Meagan mentioned earlier, painting of the bee boxes. So that was something that the art program at the high school said, hey, we'd love to have some of your bee boxes and have our kids paint them. And so that's another way that they contributed, and they've been part of our Leeco honey and invested in us. And we've done demonstrations at the high school for what it takes to be a beekeeper to the ag department. And we've done local garden clubs have been out to our house to talk about pollinators and what it would take to have pollinators, or what you need to plant that's beneficial to pollinators. So there's a lot of community involvement, and we're now members of the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of little things that I think just within the community, and honestly our church too. We've been blessed to have so many people within our church to be helpful with getting the word out there, and being part of letting us know when they see that there's a swarm in a tree on Facebook, and I'm tagged immediately on Darren, go out there and try to help them out. So they've been great to us.
What's been one of the biggest things you've learned as you've built this business?
Well,
I will say from my side, when we first bought 2 hives, I was thinking, well, immediately we'd have, just gobs of honey. Right? That's just how it works. You set them out there and all of a sudden you're set. It takes a while, and there's a process, and it's, as you're growing, sure, we have, 25 hives now, but a lot of those are still young hives, and they're still developing, and we're still working on getting our production values up. And then also bees are finicky. They have their own ways about them, and they're very, very interesting insects, but they're also challenging sometimes. I think that when we joined the Real Texas Honey Association, the president of the organization there was saying that, he's a commercial beekeeper, and they lose 30 to 40% of their hives year over year. So it's kind of caring for them and maintaining them, and trying to eliminate pesticides and herbicides, and dealing with mites and hive beetles and wax moths. And there's lots of things that you have to think about and stay on top of. So it's challenging. It is work to do it, but it's very rewarding at the same time.
I think I've learned the power of storytelling, and that the consumers really care about where their food comes from. And I think that's incredible. And so I've been so appreciative of social media, where we could tell our story, and then we could also tell the story of our hives, and how, the honey comes from the hives into the bottles. So I really appreciate it, and learned so much about that storytelling piece. And I think there's so many on social media that I can point to, is that I've learned from, that have been just the most kind people that reach out and just want to share their knowledge. And so I so appreciate this community of people in agriculture, especially these women in agriculture, that kind of rally around each other and help each other out. So I've just learned so much from them, and how they've told their own stories. And that's certainly influenced us in how we tell our story. And it's not just about honey, it's about like the family behind the honey, and the process of, the honey, and the process, and what it means to take care of a hive. And so it's exciting to see how people, they really do care about that. And that just invigorates me, and just gets me so excited, about agriculture and our, small community here. And so yeah, storytelling is so important. That's what I've learned.
Well, you tell a great story through not just your writing, but also your photos. You have great photos, and you actually do that on the side a little bit, right, Meagan?
Yes. There was a family that reached out and asked if I would take some of her daughter's senior photos, and I just had so much fun. And I love the thought of just trying to capture who they really are in this moment, and not getting all super gussied up, but I don't know. I just love the real natural light, and I love telling a story through photos. And so I've just really enjoyed going out and taking photos of friends and other folks. So yeah, that's another venture I'm going down that I really enjoy.
She's very good at it too.
Thank you.
Well, you guys both actually, on top of all of this, have full-time jobs.
Yeah.
So how do you do it all?
Yeah, I think it's more like just keep swimming, just keep swimming. We, I mean, I think first and foremost, we really work on our marriage. And I think that's first and foremost. Like if you're going to be a like business partner with your spouse, like we used to be really good about taking a date night every week, and just really pouring into each other, and then understanding that God is in control and not us. And so giving up some of that control to him and recognizing like this is his business. These are his hives, these are his bees, these are his kids. You know, my husband is his. I have zero control over any of that. That just takes a weight off of your shoulders. And I think what it's allowed us to do is really just look at each day and say, okay, like, God, what do you have planned for us today? I think that I am a jump off the cliff without recognizing if I packed my parachute or not. And Darren is like the one packing my parachute as I'm jumping. So working with someone who is the complete opposite of me is probably stressful for him. But I think it's really helpful for us. And then recognizing that we play two very different roles in our business, and that we can each support each other on that.
Yeah, I think we complement each other well on that. I mean, if you weren't jumping off the cliff, we wouldn't be where we are now, because I would be analyzing every aspect of it, and we'd still have 2 hives and wondering what we're going to do next. So it's important to move forward sometimes, even if you don't have all the answers. And that's challenging for me, less so for you. So I think that's certainly an aspect of it. And we do have a lot of conversations surrounding schedule and, you know, hey, we're investing a lot of time in this particular component of our week, and we need to think about, you know, putting more emphasis on whatever it is, you know, and whether it's kids and schoolwork or having our time together, or the bees, or marketing, or our church and family. So we have a lot of commitments that, yeah, it seems like a lot. And it is, but I think we try to work to prioritize where we need to invest our time, and where it makes the most sense for us to spend our time and effort.
And to be super transparent, we are not good at this. We don't have all the answers, and we have allocated days and times where like he goes and checks bees on this date, this time. You know, but then a removal might come up, or somebody might want me to come take pictures or something like that. So there's always a wrench thrown into our plans. And so we are not perfect, but we recognize that their communication is really important. And I think that that's where the schedule and the priorities, like, you know, make such a big difference of like, we really need to come together and say, this is what we've got going on for the week. Yeah, I wish we could say how we do things, but we're still figuring it out.
Yeah, we don't have a set program, but I think compromise is a big part of it. You know, if I have something that comes up and she's able to move some things around to help me out, or vice versa, I think that's a big component of it. And then recognizing that maybe I can't do a removal 5 nights a week, and you know, there's some that I need to pass on, and there's certain things that we'd both love to do, but we just don't have the time to do it. And kind of understanding that we're not going to be able to do it all, and make sure that we're putting our efforts in the things that make sense for us.
Yeah. How are your girls involved?
Oh my goodness. So they all have little bee suits, and it was precious because Darren came to speak to Nola's class when she was still at the little preschool, and she had on her bee suit, and she was passing around, you know, the hive frames. And so it was so cute. And they'll go out and, you know, check the hives from a distance. They're still not super comfortable getting like in the hives like Darren is. But they are huge helpers with me at the farmers markets. And they also help us with bottling and putting stickers on. Natalie loves to put the stickers on, and she's one of our very like detail-oriented children. So we like it when she does the stickers. So we do try to make it like a family event where we all recognize that we all play a part in our honey business, and, you know, everybody's part is very important. And they might look different, and that's okay.
Yeah. I would like to bring them as they get a little older, more and more to working the hives. I think the concern is that bees can be mean. And one point of recommendation from me, from our side, if you are looking to get into beekeeping, one of the first things you should consider is getting a high quality bee suit. So you can buy a cheapo suit and it may give you a limited amount of protection, but I think we went out the other day and checked a hive, and she was wearing my good suit and I was wearing a different one, and I got popped like 15 times pretty quickly. So it matters. You want to make sure that you have the proper equipment, because it's not a lot of fun to beekeep when every time you go out you get 30 or 40 stings, and you're probably going to want to quit pretty quickly if that happens a lot. But yeah, the girls are highly involved with just the planning, the discussion surrounding it, the honey production side of things. They love spinning the spinner, and Nola may sneak a lot of taste of the honey throughout the process. But yeah, they're all really involved with it and are good helpers.
Mm-hmm. So good. What excites you most about the future of rural America?
Oh, goodness. I just love the voices of rural America coming out and telling their stories, and really understanding like that there is a community present, and it is so important for them to be able to tell their stories. And that, again, like they're all different stories and we all play a different role in feeding America. I love the promotion of just the work that everyone is doing. And just, again, like how we just said about the kids, like how everybody plays their own part, but it makes such a world of difference for all of us. So I've really enjoyed, again, I'm more of like the marketing social media person, but I really have enjoyed just listening and watching the stories and watching, the attention paid to rural America. I feel like really increased, and people are excited about it and want to support these farmers and ranchers. So I just loved hearing their voices like be heard and seen.
Yeah, I would say that I think right now it's even more at the forefront with people looking at where their products are coming from, with all of this stuff that we've had going on in the world today, that people are more interested in making sure that maybe they're going to pay $1 or $2 more to get ground meat from a farmer that they know who where the cow came from and how it was raised, or maybe they'll spend a little bit of extra money to go buy flowers from 6G, a local farmer that is not shipping the flowers in from overseas. So it's a good time, I think, to be in the rural kind of community and production. I think we need to be careful as a society not to lose sight of our history and our heritage with farming and ranching, and honey production it's kind of going to the wayside because people are more consumer based and less production based. So I think as we're seeing right now, there's kind of a shift. It seems to me, and maybe it's because we're in the middle of it, but it seems to me like there is a big shift of people wanting to have something that they know where it comes from, and so I think that's pretty exciting about what's happening in the future.
Yeah, I totally agree. What's next for you guys and for Leeco honey?
Oh, goodness. All of our it depends who you ask. I'm already a million miles ahead and have our honey store in my mind and all of that. But I think as far as next steps, we are super excited to host another honey harvest at our home, and involving even more of our local community and our local farmers and ranchers here, and just supporting their work and their products and what they have to offer our community. We are excited about the Adopt-a-Hive, obviously. But what comes next for us is really the honey harvest. That's probably our biggest thing.
Yeah, from an immediate standpoint, I think you're right. Yeah, I think from a future of Leeco, man, we have a lot of check boxes that are unchecked right now that we're working towards. The commercial production facility, hopefully at some point. That way we don't bump up against any limitations on shipping or places we can sell our honey. Increase production, number of hives, and potentially branching out from our home location here, which is probably going to have a limitation of number of hives that we can support here, and spreading out into having locations at other people's farms or ranches. We'll have to vet them pretty well, but that's something that we want to do. And ag exemptions are a big thing too that people are looking into now, that honeybees can be used as an ag exemption on properties less than 20 acres in Texas, and between 6 and 20 acres. So that's something we're looking into more. But
I think in educating people too, like that's been something we've really enjoyed. And so we've talked with some local folks about hosting more like education type forums where people can come and learn about beekeeping. And here in Texas, or here in Lexington, we have Snow's Barbecue, which is the #1 barbecue place in Texas. So we've, talked about doing a barbecue, bees and beer, like come on and learn, eat some good barbecue, and let's talk about bees. And so like what Darren said, if they have an interest in bringing bees onto their property, we can maybe help them get into something like that.
One other thing I think that we're pro that I hope others will appreciate and maybe do themselves if they're into bees is we don't really have a great local source for a club or knowledge of beekeeping. So we've only met once due to circumstances surrounding the current environment, but we do have a little the Hive, right?
Yeah,
the Hive, a group of people that want to get into beekeeping or have started beekeeping, that we can kind of be a community of beekeepers that can help support each other. So I think that's one thing that we're also working towards, is just promoting it. I don't think that the demand far outweighs the production from a local U.S. honey standpoint. So we encourage people to get involved with it. We're not one of those people that says, no, don't do it. It is challenging. There are ups and downs within beekeeping, but it's fun and it's rewarding. So we encourage people to be involved, and we'd like to continue promoting that as well.
Well, and I love how open you are about sharing what you do know, because you want other people to be able to benefit from that. So I appreciate that you're doing that very much.
Thank you.
Well, how can we follow along with everything that you guys have going on?
Well, we have Instagram and Leeco Honey, and then our Facebook, which you can find us on Leeco Honey as well, and then our website, leecohoney.com. So those are probably the best ways that you can connect with us. I know our website, we've tried to do a good job just being really transparent with our mission and our vision and some of the things we've got going on, and then our family story if you're interested. So you can learn a little bit more about our farm and our family and who is Leeco Honey.
Perfect. Well, guys, thank you for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, this is great. Thank you.
Well, I love Darren and Meagan's focus on community and how they're helping other beekeepers by sharing what they've learned. They plan to announce their next honey harvest date soon, so be sure to go check out the show notes to follow along. Huge thanks to Darren and Meagan for being on the podcast, and thanks to you for tuning in as we record these podcasts remotely. We hope to be back out on the road again soon, but until then, stay healthy and safe and have a great day, everybody.